read the second time. In accordance with the rules of procedure, the second reading debate is adjourned and the bill is referred to the House Committee. This Council resumes the second reading debate on the Waste Disposal Amendments Bill 2024. Dr. Chow Man Kong. President, I speak in support of the Waste Disposal Amendments Bill 2024. At present, under the permit control system of the Waste Disposal Ordinance, that is, the control scheme over electrical and electronic waste, including waste batteries, circuit boards, and other electrical appliances. Now, this bill will implement the Basel Convention on control of transboundary movements of hazardous waste and their disposal. Beginning from the 1st of January 2025, all EEWs, or electrical and electronic waste, will be in scope, which means that television remotes, electric fans, and waste mobile phones will be covered by the permit control system. By amending Section 354, the import of and export of these EEWs into and outside Hong Kong will require permits issued by the Director. Now, the bill covers both import and export. The amendments are not a lot, but the impact is long-lasting. Now, I believe we have all watched the movie Cesium Fallout. The plot of the movie is that because of the increase in electrical and electronic waste because of industrialization, some countries use Hong Kong as an entry port to transship these EEWs to other, less developed countries in the region. Now, this is only a movie plot, but it brings about awareness towards the hazard of electric waste. Now, according to the IISD, International Sustainable Development Association, every year there is a 50 million ton increase in EEWs. In 2021, per capita waste generation per capita was 3.7 kilometers. The number is going to rise. By 2030, the per capita waste generated will exceed 30 kilograms. Now, these EEWs contain hazardous materials like copper and other minerals. If not dealt with properly, they will be hazardous to health. According to a report of the UN, more than 90% of EEWs were dealt with in substandard manner, and they were shipped and disposed of illegally. Now, in 2020, the disposal rates were 48,000 tons and 12,000 tons. Now, in 2020, the export volume was 20 and 530 tons respectively. Now, we need to cut the number at source and enhance our recycling capacity for EEW. So I have three suggestions for the government. First, during the transitional period, we must be strict. After the passage of the bill, there would be a 6-month-long transitional period, during which the EPD should exercise discretion on not prosecuting certain cases. However, in terms of importation, for cases where there is no actual harm done to the environment, they would be put down lightly. But I think we have to be strict. Second, we have to develop a circular economy by establishing and building more recycling and upgrading facilities. Now, the government has invested a lot in building the We Park in Tuen Mun and the T Park in New Territories and O Park in Lantau. For example, We Park, in terms of enhancing the reduction of e-waste as well as recycling of EEW, the We Park plays an important role. We should enhance investments in environmental friendly facilities. We can even issue bond for this exact purpose to build more recycling and upgrading facility. This will enhance the public and the trade's awareness and efficiency on waste recycling. And also we should step up primary recycling facility like Green as Community. Now the Green as Community only recycle the basic electronic waste. For other out-of-scope waste EEW, the public would just dump them into the waste station. Now we should set up more recycling stations for other kinds of electric appliances. Members of the public should be encouraged to take their waste electrical appliances to these recycling points. At the same time, we should enhance the recycling capacity so that we can achieve our goal. I also submit I support the Amendments Bill 2024. Mr. Kwok Wai-keung. Thank you, President. The bill seeks to further enhance Hong Kong's waste control regime. As mentioned by the Secretary, the country is a signing party to the Basel Convention. It is important for Hong Kong to align with the country's strategy to amend the waste disposal ordinance so as to extend the permit control system to all electrical and electronic waste to ensure that we are complying with the Basel Convention. And with the advancements in technology, we have a lot of smartphones, cameras, and tablets. In the past, these products would be updated every year, but now it is on a quarterly basis. EEW and hazardous waste have been increasing. Now, according to the UN, in 2019, the total amount of EEW generated was 53.6 million tons. By 2030, the number will be increased to 74 million tons. If not handled properly, these wastes will create great threats to the environment and human health. The situation is worrying. According to the WHO, when unscrupulous or illegal means are adopted to dispose of EEW, for example, illegally disposing or even burning of EEW, as many as 1,000 harmful chemicals would be released to the environment, including neurotoxins, for example, copper and mercury, or rather lead and mercury. These elements pose significant risk to our lungs and our airways and so on, or even cancer. Toxic remnants would contaminate soil and water sources, including underground water. These can also be absorbed through skin absorption or enter the human body via the food chain. They are particularly harmful to pregnant women and children. It would cause developmental delay in children. At present, EEW is a major source of family waste with a low recycling rate. Now, according to a UN body, the increase in EEW outpaced the recycling rates by 5 times, so we can never catch up. And there are precious metallic resources in the EEW. With proper sorting and recycling, it can reduce their impact on the environment while creating value. That's why we need to be very prudent in handling EEW. The bill requires that the state of import and the state of transit must consent on the shipment. This will prevent EEW from being shipped to developing countries. After stripping out the precious metallic components of the EEW, the remaining parts would be maybe dealt with recklessly, and it may bring harm to the environment and health. So the bill will be able to enhance enforcement. Also, the bill will enhance the permit control regime. All EEW and hazardous waste, the import and export activities will have to be approved by the EPD. Only operators with sufficient qualifications and capacity can engage in these activities. This will enhance the safety of the operation. I urge members to support the bill. Not only does the bill enhance our local regime, but also the import and export control regime of waste internationally. With this bill, we can enhance the environmental protection for the next generation. This is a pledge that we made to our future generations. It also demonstrates the government's determination to protect the environment. Thank you.
Mr. Tony Che. Thank you, President. I speak in support of the Waste Disposal Amendment Bill 2024's second and third reading. This is to pass the amendment to the Basel Convention on the Control of Transboundary Movements of Hazardous Waste and their Disposal. This is also to tighten the import and export control of EEW. This is to prevent pollution of substances released by these hazardous wastes, and that these wastes will not be shipped from Hong Kong to other places or the other way around. The current waste disposal ordinance regulates television, computers, and other types of EEWs, including those that might pose pollution problems. We currently have a regulatory regime. Also, the government is implementing the WEEE scheme so that people will not randomly dispose of EEWs. Now, including cameras, hard disks, and other types of remote controls of different types of electrical appliances will be included in the permit control regime, because these wastes will have to get the permit from the Director of Environmental Protection in order to be imported or exported. In 2023, the imported WEE in Hong Kong only amounts to 20 tons, but those exported were 550 tons. Compared to 2022, about 48,000 tons of WEE were recovered for treatment, and also 16,000 tons of WEE were disposed of. I believe that with the statistics, the tightening of the regime will not pose a lot of impact on the trade. Every year in Hong Kong, we recover 60,000 tons of electronic and electrical waste. A lot of them are of good functions, but we're seeing different types of new electronic and electrical appliances these days. So this is changing people's consumption habits. For example, in terms of cell phones, a lot of young people, they get a new iPhone, a smartphone every 1 or 2 years. The functions of these products do not vary a lot. I believe that people just want to show off their phones, that's why they keep changing them. With the recycling regime, we can prevent people from randomly disposing of electronic and electrical waste. We are seeing this shift in consumption pattern in a free market. However, we are seeing unnecessary waste of these types of electrical appliances. Therefore, I think, Secretary, you have to step up publicity and education in this regard. We have to teach people to protect our environment so that we do not waste too many of our resources. According to the Census and Statistics Department, we got some import and export figures, but are we underestimating the situation? I've been in talks with environmental protection teams. According to them, we have some waste from other places. However, these wastes are not meant to be shipped to Hong Kong. Instead, they are transiting from Hong Kong to other places to the mainland. Some of these wastes are transshipped from the mainland to other third world countries. Some of these wastes, however, are disposed of in some brownfield sites, and nobody takes care of these wastes, and this causes harm to our environment. I hope the government can step up control in this regard. Customs and Excise Department should work with the EPD and make good use of big data to identify any suspicious import and export of waste, so that we won't turn Hong Kong into a transit point of these imported waste. Other than imported waste, we have domestic waste. In the last week's debate, I mentioned that the waste charging scheme, due to various reasons, has been suspended. However, we should not stop reducing waste at source. The government needs to continue to educate the public and enhance our recycling facilities to promote waste reduction at source. Also, it should promote recycling of waste. Suspending the waste charging scheme doesn't mean we have to cancel it altogether. It just gives time for the government to deal with different problems. For example, members of the public do not have enough knowledge about this scheme, and there are also inadequacies in terms of our facilities like food waste recycling facilities. We also need to find ways to recycle large pieces of junk. We should speed up the recycling of waste, and also we should improve the design of different types of recycling facilities. In terms of whether we should carry on with the waste charging scheme, the Secretary needs to seriously think about it. In the past, I mentioned that we should make good use of public money and identify sites for waste. We know that we do not have enough space for more landfill sites in Hong Kong, so the government should turn waste into energy so that we can achieve the target of having zero landfill in Hong Kong. Apart from targeting electronic and electrical waste, we also have to deal with construction waste. We are seeing the commissioning of the third runway system, and we have reclamation projects in the central waters. These projects might be delayed because of financial issues. What should we do with the construction waste that are supposed to be used as fill materials for reclamation projects? Will this affect the development project in Area 137 of Tseung Kwan O? I hope the government can tell the public about this. Thank you. I so submit. Mr. Chen Xiu-hong. Deputy President, I speak in support of the Waste Disposal Amendment Bill 2024's second reading. The bill is to amend Cap 354, the Waste Disposal Ordinance, to expand the scope of import and export control of the current permit control system to all EEWs, and to implement the amendments to the Basel Convention. The Basel Convention entered into force in 1992. It controls the international transboundary movements of hazardous waste. In 2022 June, in the 15th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to the Basel Convention, some amendments were passed, and this expands the permit control system of some EEWs to all types of EEWs, so that these EEWs will be properly disposed of in different countries. These amendments will enter into force starting from the 1st of January next year. Currently, we have 190 state members under the Basel Convention, and China is one of the parties. So Hong Kong has the obligation to implement the amendments. In March this year, the UN published a report, and it shows that in 2022, EEWs around the waste reached 62 million tons, of which 22% of them were properly disposed of. Therefore, as we implement the amendments in Hong Kong, we are including telephones, small-scale electrical and electronic appliances into the current permit system, and I'm all for this, so that all these EEWs can be properly disposed of. However, some of the products are not considered waste. They are properly packaged. They are second-hand products. They are exempted under the current permit system in this bill. EEWs can be sold at a value. Therefore, I mentioned in the panel that the government should think about how to prevent electrical and electronic waste, which are second-hand products that might be imported or exported through Hong Kong. I hope the government can pay attention to this so that there won't be people who exploit the loopholes. In 2022, according to the EDP, 48,000 tons of EEWs were recovered and 16,000 tons were disposed of. All landfill sites will be closed in Hong Kong by 2035. Plastic waste which involve electronic components can only then be disposed of in Hong Kong. I hope the government can step up recycling of these wastes. According to statistics, in 2023, the import and export of EEWs in Hong Kong were 20 tons and 530 tons respectively. These are imported and exported through the permit system. However, there are ones that are imported and exported without permits. In 2021, 53 prosecutions were made by the government. And in 2022, there were 52 prosecutions. Earlier this year, in Kwai Chung Container Port, there were waste exported through OGVs to Malaysia, and they were of a value of $14 million. EEWs have metals that can be recycled, and they are worth hundreds and millions of dollars. I hope the government can step up inspection and review the penalty so that we can create a deterrent effect. The trade may need time to adapt to the amendments of the permit system. Therefore, I support the idea that the government will impose a phasing-in period during the first 6 months after the amendments are passed or become effective. For example, some importers or exporters may not comply with the amendments due to a lack of understanding. They do not intend to dispose of waste. And the government will, in these situations, exercise discretion. I hope the government can step up education and publicity to help the trade comply with the new system. I so submit I support the bill. Thank you.
Mr. Edward Lau. Thank you, Deputy President. I speak in support of the Waste Disposal Amendment Bill 2024. In fact, this bill makes enhancements to the original legislation from the perspective of protecting the environment, promoting sustainable development, and safeguarding public health. It implements the latest requirements of the Basel Convention on the Control of Transboundary Movements of Hazardous Wastes and their disposal in respect of the transboundary movement of electrical and electronic waste. Starting from the 1st of January 2025, whatever the purpose of import of such waste, all electrical and electronic waste EEW before import and export needs to obtain consent from the state of import and export. It also needs to obtain consent from the EPD, which will handle the application in accordance with CAP 354. From the perspective of environmental protection, permission from the state of import and export needs to be obtained, and this will help with environmental protection. There will not be any environmental impact on the state of import. It not only protects the ecological environment of the relevant places, it also safeguards the public health. Waste import and export permit control will also prevent other countries from shipping the EEW to Hong Kong for dumping, so we can protect the local environment. In fact, much EEW needs to be regulated. This is conducive to the environment as well as public health. EEW has a lot of toxins. If mishandled, EEW will cause a long-term impact on the environment as well as the ecological environment. So there will be crises caused to the local environment. Apart from the FSD Fire Services Department, the EPD also plays the role as a gatekeeper. There is the Ordnance Waste Disposal Ordinance CAP 354. A permit will have to be applied for so that the government can track and manage EEW. To the extent that such will be handled properly, this will protect citizens. I support this bill. However, technology develops by leaps and bounds. We have tight resources in Hong Kong. Sometimes I question whether such waste is indeed waste or is it precious material. If properly handled, waste can be turned into precious material. That's exactly what we mean by renewable energy as well as circular economy. While managing the import and export of EEW, I hope the EPD will also support recycling industry in Hong Kong. It also supports renewable energy so that waste can be turned into renewable energy. We can also reduce our reliance on energy. We can drive the development of the sustainable development goal in Hong Kong. In fact, we have advanced technology. In the past, we used to create pollution while we were handling waste. However, nowadays, we can derive renewable energy from waste. There is more and more EEW, say smartphones, iPad, and so on. In the future, we may see even more EEW, electrical and electronic waste. Say the government is promoting EVs, electric vehicles. There are batteries in EVs. EVs will be disposed of after a long period of usage. So the government needs to lend support to recycling industries in Hong Kong. In relation to producer responsibility scheme, I hope the government will quicken the pace. The government worked on the WEEE scheme, that is waste electrical and electronic equipment. Glass bottles, plastic bottles will continue to be covered under the producer responsibility scheme. As for batteries or even more electrical appliances, can the administration, as soon as possible, introduce the bill of producer responsibility scheme so different types of products can also be covered under the scheme. We can enhance our efforts as source, say from the point of recycling. We can reduce carbon emissions, and we can also promote the sustainable development of Hong Kong. Deputy, I so submit I support the bill. Mr. Benson Look, Deputy President, I speak in support of the Waste Disposal Amendment Bill 2024. The bill seeks to amend Waste Disposal Ordinance Cap 354 to implement the latest requirements of the Basel Convention on the control of transboundary movements of hazardous waste and their disposal in respect of transboundary movement of electrical and electronic waste. Our country is a party to Basel Convention. In the 15th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to the Basel Convention, the relevant coverage will be extended from hazardous waste to all waste, that is all EEW covering small home appliances starting from the 1st of January 2025. So such EEW will be properly handled instead of import. Our country will see the start of the implementation of the requirements on the 1st of January 2025. So Hong Kong does have the obligation to implement the requirements of the amendments of the Basel Convention in order to fulfill the obligation. According to the CNSD in 2023, for the import and export electrical and electronic waste, the figure stood at 20 tons and 530 tons respectively. The amount of recycling there were 48,000 tons of waste being recovered for treatment and 16,000 tons of waste being disposed of. From the perspective of ESG, we need to recycle the waste. We have recently a movie, Cesium Fallout. When I visited the community, some residents told me, or they asked me whether we were in the imminent danger of the consequence of EEW. In addition to implementing the requirements of the amendments to the convention, we need to tell the public that the transboundary movement of EEW will be properly handled instead of import in order to better protect the environment in the state of import alongside protecting public health. That is to prevent the scene in the movie. The EPD is explaining the implementation details of the scheme to the industry. For the first 6 months after the legislation takes effect, there will be a 6-month phasing-in period. We need to maintain a close dialogue with the industry, and we also need to enhance public education initiatives in order to enhance public awareness of the ESG as well as the amended legislation. Does any other member wish to speak? If not, I now call upon the Secretary for Environment and Ecology to reply. Then the debate will come to a close. Secretary. Deputy President, I'm grateful to members for their support for the Waste Disposal Amendment Bill 2024 so that the second reading debate of the bill could be resumed today. I'm also grateful to the members who spoke just now on the bill and relevant issues. The background of the amendment bill is in the amendments to the Basel Convention on the Control of Transboundary Movements of Hazardous Wastes and their Disposal, referred to as Basel Convention below, on the control of the transboundary movements of electrical and electronic waste EEW and their proper management. The amendments will take effect from the 1st of January 2025. The amendments ensure that EEW undergoing transboundary movement is properly managed in the state of import, thereby protecting the local environment and public health in the state of import. Our country is a party to the Basel Convention. It also applies to Hong Kong. Therefore, the amendment bill aims to amend the Waste Disposal Ordinance Cap 354 so that the existing waste import and export permit control covers all electrical and electronic waste EEW. This will enable Hong Kong to tie in with the policy of our country and fulfill the obligation under the Basel Convention alongside our country. The bill only controls the import and export of EEW. It doesn't have any impact on the daily lives of the public. In our consultation with relevant trade associations, recyclers, collectors, traders, shipping companies and air cargo companies, stakeholders expressed their understanding that the above amendments to the Basel Convention are made to comply with the requirements under the Basel Convention alongside our country. They therefore raised no objections. The EPD has explained the implementation details of new control arrangements to the sector. The first 6 months after the amended WDO takes effect will be the phasing-in period, that is from the 1st of January 2025 to the 30th of June 2025. The EPD will also exercise discretion when handling non-compliance. We will continue to maintain communication with the sector and step up publicity as well as public education in order to assist the sector in complying with the new requirements. To this end, the EPD will prepare easy-to-understand infographics and concise guides to be disseminated to the sector through various channels such as our website and trade associations. In addition, we will also visit electrical and electronic waste recycling facilities for the dissemination of information to operators. In relation to recycling, for electrical appliances not covered under WEEE, say cooker, mobile phone, and so on, they can be returned to the green and community facilities. We will also provide outreach services through the green outreach teams. There will be on-site demonstration to educate the public on the importance of reducing waste at source. We will enhance public education in this regard. In relation to overall waste recycling, we will stay true to our intent. That is to reduce waste. We will enhance our efforts in public education and publicity. In relation to combating illegal import and export of EEW, the EPD has been committed to combating transboundary movement of EEW. We work with the CNED to take a risk-based approach to carry out raids on the import and export of EEW in order to effectively combat import and export EEW. In relation to the producer responsibility scheme, we are drafting legislation and we will introduce the relevant legislation to the Council for scrutiny as soon as possible. Last but not least, I thank the Council for resuming the legislative procedures for the bill in a short period of time. I urge members to support the passage of the bill so the Hong Kong SAR can comply with the requirements under the Basel Convention alongside our country on the 1st of January 2025. Deputy President, I so submit.
I now put the question to you that the Waste Disposal Amendment Bill 2024 be read the second time. With those in favour, please raise their hands. Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed. By a majority of the members present, I declare the motion passed. Waste Disposal Amendment Bill 2024